You hear the name Ferrari, and what comes to mind? Screaming engines, those iconic red cars, pure, unadulterated speed. But the brand, it's really just a reflection of the man who built it. Brilliant, absolutely ruthless, and completely obsessed with winning. This is his story. Today, the company that Enzo Ferrari started from nothing is valued at a mind-blowing $85 billion. I mean, that's a number that's almost hard to wrap your head around. Because, let's be honest, it's so much more than just a car company, right? It's a status symbol. It's this global icon of speed, of wealth, of peak Italian craftsmanship. It's a dream on four wheels. But what if I told you that this multi-billion-dollar empire wasn't built by some business tycoon, but by a blacksmith's son who lost his entire family, got rejected for a basic factory job, and was on the verge of being homeless? So let's get into it. How does a boy from a small town in Italy born to a blacksmith end up creating a global legend? To understand Ferrari, you have to start with the man himself, Enzo, born in Modena back in 1898. At just 10 years old, he sees his first car race and he is hooked. It's all he wants. But by the time he's 18, his world has completely fallen apart. His father and his brother are both dead from illness. A year later, he gets drafted into World War I, where he almost dies himself from the Spanish flu. In just a handful of years, he was left with nothing and no one. So he goes to Turin, which was the heart of Italy's auto industry, hoping to chase that racing dream. He walks into Fiat, the biggest name in the game, and asks for a job, any job, and they flat out reject him. His dream looked dead, and he had to take this awful job stripping down old war trucks just to survive. But from that absolute rock bottom, Enzo starts to climb. This is how he goes from a guy nobody would hire to the leader of his very own race team. He finally gets a tiny break as a test driver for a small company called CMN. That gets him into his first race, and pretty soon people start noticing his talent. By 1920, he's driving for the legendary Alfa Romeo team. And then in 1923, after his first big win, a countess comes up to him and suggests he use her son's emblem from his warplane for good luck, a prancing horse. Sound familiar? Okay, quick Italian lesson. You're going to hear this word scuderia. All it means is stable, like for horses. But in motorsport, it came to mean a racing team. And Enzo, well, he was about to build the most famous one in history. He founds Scuderia Ferrari to be Alfa Romeo's official racing department. But here's the genius part. He revolutionized how to pay for it all. He brought in huge corporate sponsors like Shell and Pirelli, something nobody was really doing back then. He hired the best drivers on the planet, and the results were just insane. 144 wins in 225 races. But as you can probably guess, all that success started causing some friction. And that friction is what forced Enzo into the one business he would become world famous for, building his own cars. Not because he wanted to, but because he had to. After 20 years, 2 decades of pouring his life into Alfa Romeo, they decide to absorb his team, take over, and then they fire him. And as a final slap in the face, they hit him with a legal clause saying he couldn't use his own name, Ferrari, on any car for 4 years. And this is maybe the most important thing to understand about Enzo Ferrari. He never, ever wanted to sell cars to the public. He hated it. To him, road cars were just a noisy, annoying distraction. The wealthy customers buying his beautiful machines, they were just checkbooks funding his one true love, winning on Sunday. And this quote just says it all. His very first car, the 125S, is leading its first race. And then the engine blows. For most people, that's a disaster, right? Not for Enzo. He called it a promising failure. Why? Because it proved the car was fast, and for him, that's all that mattered. But this relentless, all-consuming drive for victory on the racetrack, it came at a truly terrible cost. The 1950s would become the darkest, most tragic chapter of his entire life. In 1956, his son and heir, Dino, dies from muscular dystrophy. He was only 24. This loss didn't just hurt Enzo, it shattered him. People who knew him said he completely changed, becoming colder, more isolated. He wore those iconic dark sunglasses for the rest of his life, pretty much to hide his grief from the world. The very next year, tragedy strikes his team. During the famous Mille Miglia road race, a Ferrari blows a tire at over 150 miles an hour. The crash killed the driver, the co-driver, and 9 spectators on the side of the road. 5 of them were children. Enzo Ferrari found himself charged with 11 counts of manslaughter. And while all this is happening, he makes a new and very powerful enemy. After a business deal with Ford goes bad, Enzo insults Henry Ford II personally. An enraged Ford declares war, telling his team, "I don't care what it costs, we're going to build a race car to defeat Ferrari." Their battleground was the greatest race in the world, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Ferrari won in '64. He won again in '65. But in 1966, Ford didn't just win. They humiliated him. They took first, second, and third place. It was a crushing defeat that ended Ferrari's dominance for years to come. So now he's defeated on the track, he's nearly bankrupt, he's getting older, and his health is failing. Enzo had to make a huge decision to make sure that his name, his legacy, would survive after he was gone. To save his company, he had to do the one thing he probably never wanted to do. In 1969, he sold half of his company to the very rival that had rejected him as a young man, Fiat. That cash saved the company and let him hire a brilliant young man named Luca di Montezemolo, who started rebuilding the Formula One team. Years later, Montezemolo would come back as CEO, completely transform the company, and lay the groundwork for one of the greatest dynasties in all of sports, the Michael Schumacher era. Enzo himself passed away in 1988. He was 90 years old. He had built an immortal name through sheer force of will, but he sadly wouldn't live long enough to see the team's greatest modern triumphs. And that brings us right back to today. The company that was always teetering on the edge of bankruptcy just to fund one man's racing obsession is now this independent, publicly traded global giant. You could say that's the ultimate victory. So who was Enzo Ferrari in the end? Was he a tyrant who treated his drivers like they were just disposable parts in his machines? Or was he a singular genius whose passion created something that will last forever? The truth is, he was probably both. And it's that incredible complexity that makes his story so damn compelling.